Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a disease that we as guitar players suffer from a lot. So what is confirmation bias? It's the tendency to interpret new evidence about something as a confirmation of our own beliefs or theories. And this is something that I see a lot, especially since my very humble YouTube channel grew, during the pandemic, and everybody had a lot of time to, experiment with different types of gear and everything, and myself included. And it's amazing how many questions I've gotten about gear and the things that I read all the time in forums, groups, my own social media to this day. It's about a lot of people trying to get other people's confirmation of what they are using, and to me, it's a big mistake, you shouldn't care what others use. You shouldn't care what others say or think about certain pieces of gear, right? And when you ask me questions and I give you my humble, my humble advice or my humble replies or my opinion, you shouldn't also take it as valid, because my opinion is just my opinion, right? When you ask me something about gear and I give you my opinion on it, it's just because it works for me. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. I've gotten many times situations where I get questions and I give an opinion, and then this same person comes back and tells me that it didn't work for them. And I wasn't surprised that it didn't work for them. It just works for me. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It might work or it might not, right? And that's something that I've been trying to encourage people for so long, in this channel, is to use what works for you. Not, do not be an absolutist, right? Absolutisms are bad in every sense of life, extremes and absolutisms. If you say, oh no, this is crap and this is great, it just doesn't work like that, Nowadays, most gear, even the most affordable Asian-made gear, is trustworthy gear that can be used and trusted, right? Of course, there are very different qualities, and there are some instruments that, while they are, road-worthy or studio-worthy or whatever, they just can't be compared with others, It's just differences, and that's fine. But don't buy absolutisms like, oh no, this is a piece of crap and this is great. I mean, plenty of people making great music with those things that you are saying is crap, So you shouldn't care what I say. You shouldn't care what anybody says, what anybody thinks. And you should use what works for you. If it works for you, then it's good, right? If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just didn't work. In this era of, so much gear, and immediacy, everybody wants things right now. It's very common to fall into those rabbit holes where we are trying to look for something that we don't even know what it is, So in terms of the gear that we buy, the gear that we use what works, because the gear is your tools. I'm not gonna go out there and look on running forums and go and buy the same shoes that somebody else is buying just because somebody else bought those and said they are great and these other shoes are crap. No, I mean, if I like those shoes and I go to the store and try them and they feel good, cool, I buy them. But if they don't, I won't. The same way that you shouldn't buy the same pants that I buy just because I told you they're great and they stretch and they are very cool. No, you should buy the pants that make you feel comfortable and that fit you well. Same thing with guitars and amps and pedals and pickups and recording gear and speakers and whatever, you know? Drop the confirmation bias. You don't need to hear other people saying, yes, this pedal is great, so that you feel good that you bought that pedal. And then, you know, in the quiet of your home, maybe you're gonna frustrate yourself because everybody's saying how great this pedal is, and then for you, for some reason, it's not working. It doesn't mean it's a bad pedal. It's just not for you, maybe, right? So that's the message, guys. Use what works for you. Forget about what people say. It doesn't matter what a bunch of strangers on a forum say, you know, whether this is great or whether this is bad. It doesn't matter. Find out for yourself. Trust your ears. Trust yourself. It's the only one who will be, you know, able to discern if something works or is good for you and adapts to your need. It's you, not a bunch of strangers, not anybody else. Not me, not anybody else. Trust your ears.